The sun dipped low over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the small coastal town of Seabrook. The salty breeze carried the faint sound of waves crashing against the shore, mingling with the laughter of locals and tourists alike. It was here, in this quaint little town, that three lives would intertwine in a way none of them could have predicted. Elena was a painter, her hands always stained with the colors of her latest masterpiece. She had moved to Seabrook a year ago, seeking inspiration in its serene landscapes and tight-knit community. Her studio was a cozy cottage by the sea, filled with canvases that captured the town's beauty in every brushstroke. She was content with her solitude, or so she told herself. Then there was Claire, a free-spirited musician who had recently returned to Seabrook after years of traveling the world. Her guitar was her constant companion, and her songs echoed through the streets, drawing people in with their raw emotion and haunting melodies. Claire had a way of making everyone feel seen, as if her music could reach into their souls and pull out their deepest secrets. And then there was Daniel, the town's beloved baker. His pastries were legendary, and his smile even more so. He had a way of making people feel at home, whether they were biting into one of his flaky croissants or simply sharing a cup of coffee with him. Daniel had always been a pillar of the community, but beneath his cheerful exterior, he carried a quiet longing for something more. The three of them had crossed paths before, of course. Seabrook was small, and it was impossible not to know everyone. But it wasn't until the town's annual summer festival that their lives truly collided. The festival was a celebration of art, music, and food, and all three of them were at the heart of it. Elena had set up a booth to display her paintings, Claire was scheduled to perform on the main stage, and Daniel had spent days preparing an array of pastries for the event. It was during Claire's performance that Elena first noticed Daniel. She had been captivated by Claire's voice, the way it seemed to weave through the crowd and wrap around her like a warm embrace. But then her eyes drifted to Daniel, who was standing at the edge of the stage, his gaze fixed on Claire with a look of pure admiration. Elena felt a pang of something she couldn't quite name. Jealousy? Longing? She wasn't sure. All she knew was that she couldn't look away. After the performance, Elena found herself drawn to Daniel's booth. She told herself it was because she wanted to try one of his famous pastries, but deep down, she knew it was more than that. She wanted to see him up close, to understand the man who had looked at Claire with such intensity. Daniel greeted her with a warm smile, and they struck up a conversation that flowed as easily as the waves on the shore. They talked about art, about music, about life. Elena found herself opening up to him in a way she hadn't with anyone in a long time. But then Claire appeared, her guitar slung over her shoulder, and the dynamic shifted. Claire's presence was magnetic, and both Elena and Daniel were drawn to her like moths to a flame. The three of them spent the rest of the evening together, laughing and talking as if they had known each other for years. As the days turned into weeks, the three of them became inseparable. They spent their mornings at Daniel's bakery, sharing coffee and pastries while Claire strummed her guitar and Elena sketched in her notebook. In the afternoons, they would wander the town, exploring hidden corners and creating memories that felt like they belonged in a dream. But as their bond deepened, so did the complexity of their feelings. Elena found herself falling for both Claire and Daniel, torn between the passion she felt for Claire and the comfort she found in Daniel's presence. Claire, too, was caught in a whirlwind of emotions, her heart pulling her in two different directions. And Daniel, who had always been so sure of himself, found himself questioning everything he thought he knew about love. One evening, as the sun set over the ocean, the three of them sat on the beach, the waves lapping at their feet. The air was thick with unspoken words, and finally, Elena broke the silence. "I don't know what's happening," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I care about both of you so much, but I don't know what that means." Claire reached for Elena's hand, her touch sending a shiver down Elena's spine. "I feel the same way," Claire confessed. "I've never felt this way about anyone before, and it's terrifying." Daniel looked at them, his heart aching with the weight of his own feelings. "I think," he said slowly, that love doesn't always fit into neat little boxes. Maybe it's not about choosing one person over another. Maybe it's about finding a way to make it work, even if it's not what anyone expects. The three of them sat in silence, the truth of Daniel's words sinking in. Love wasn't always simple, but maybe that was what made it so beautiful. In the end, they chose each other, in all their messy, complicated glory. They built a life together, one that was filled with art, music, and the sweet taste of pastries. And though their love story was unconventional, it was theirs, and that was all that mattered. As the years passed, the people of Seabrook would often see the three of them walking along the beach, their laughter carried on the wind. And in those moments, it was clear that love, in all its forms, was the most beautiful masterpiece of all.